I'm going to share my screen. Okay. Give me a second to froze a little bit. Cool. Running for office. Present to everyone. Okay. And do you guys have the link to the YouTube video?
You're gonna have to make a new one and
Here,
host
I got it for you. Yeah. So here, whoever's gonna, yeah, check the Google Hangout chat. It's right there. Yep.
Yo, don't put it on my face.
Yeah. Is on your face? Present to everyone. There you go.
Nah. Don't do that. Don't do that.
What's up?
I see my face on the YouTube thing.
It's right there. It's gonna change to the actual thing.
All right, for Charlie. Because I'm looking like a dead person.
Okay. And we'll give about 10 more minutes to 9:30 to start the actual webinar. I apologize to any of you guys who have plans past 10 p.m. I'm sorry for the technical difficulties. If you're gonna have to leave, then that's fine too. Just notify us. I opened Unity by accident. Oh no. Okay. Okay, we're gonna start the webinar at 9:30. Hey Lawrence, you have a slide too.
I know, I'm editing it. I might have to poop real quick, so give me like 5 minutes to finish it.
You know we're live, right?
Yes,
we're kinda live.
I know.
All right, so we're going to start, for those who just came onto this webinar, we're going to start in about 5 minutes while we wait for more viewers to come on. But thank you guys so much for taking your time out to coming to the Capital Division webinar. In the meantime, if you have any questions about running for board or anything, just go ahead and post it up onto the chat. So so we can answer it all at the end. Okay, thank you.
Hey Elena, so YouTube's chat censors links, so you're gonna have to post a sign in onto the Facebook event page.
Just one more minute and then we're going to start the webinar. All right, it is 9:30. Woo! I hope you guys are not experiencing any more technical difficulties because we're going to start the Capital Division webinar now. Running for office webinar, I would like to give thanks to all the board members that are here today, Elena, Christine, and Lawrence, who can make it and make this webinar possible. If you are deciding on whether or not you should run for office, this should help you enlighten your thoughts a little bit more. But with that being said, moving on, there are different tiers of Circle K leadership available. And there's clubs, there's division and district for now. And with the club within the club scope, there is secretary position, treasurer, vice president administration, vice president service, and president. Now, outside of the club level, there is the divisional level, which is the division leadership team, and then there's the lieutenant governor, which moves on to the district level, which includes all the lieutenant governors, district governor, secretary, and treasurer. But we're going to go into that in more detail. How this webinar is going to work is that we have each board member basically talk about what they are going to be, what their responsibilities are, and their experiences were throughout their term as a treasurer, secretary, vice president, administration service, or president. And with that being said, we can move on. So first up is Mikey. Mikey, you ready?
No, but okay.
All right, Mikey, introduce yourself.
All right. Hi, my name is Mikey. I'm from Folsom Lake College, and I'm their treasurer. So here you'll see a picture of me when I was just a regular general member. And here is a picture of me when I became a treasurer. The fundamental difference is like I was lost and confused. I didn't know where I was or why I did things. But then like being a treasurer just gave me that purpose to look down and understand I could grab things with the palm of my hand and make things happen. Next slide, please. All right. Oh, next slide. All right, so securing the bag. How you want to run for treasurer. First thing you want to do is erect a wooden caricature of yourself in front of your room. Oh, shit. Ooh. Go back. How about just a little bit ahead on the slides? Okay, so securing the bag. You want to erect a wooden caricature of yourself in front of your room, and basically, hold up. Yeah. Use the Google Hangout view. Oh, okay, cool. Not YouTube. Oh, that's smart. All right, so basically, you want to have a wooden statue of yourself in front of your room, dress it up, and then once the meeting begins, you want to proceed to make it rain on the statue. For a max effective clout, use any real-life currency that isn't US dollars. So Lunar New Year currency, British pounds, Japanese yen. And then once doing all that, you want to state your name and declare that you're running for CKI treasurer. Next slide. All right, so boom, the bag is secured. Now what do? So responsibilities and duties as a treasurer, you're going to want to collect and submit dues, manage and record finances, create a budget, and basically become your club's financial advisor. You also will be learned tasks with submitting reimbursements and advising fundraising chairs, and B1 should not be appointed. Next slide. All right, now how does the club get its back? So collecting dues. So when it comes to collecting dues, you want to set deadlines and incentives for paying early. So say we reach 28 paid members by November 16th, host a potluck. You're probably going to have to lead the charge on that, so make sure you're going to be able to. Make sure you're easily accessible to your members so you can collect dues. And have office hours if you need to, or just be able to access the members easily. And send friendly reminders, especially when there are early and late registration fees. That'll be one of the most critical things, especially since, we're all college kids. We all get caught up on things, and simple things as like late and early fees, we may get them mixed matched. So, always send friendly reminders if there are deadlines. Next slide. Oh, cash and Venmo. So, cash referred, Venmo, if I learned correctly, in the CKI world, I think Venmo is actually looked down upon when it comes to the rule books. However, I personally recommend, as long as the money goes where the money's supposed to go, and if Venmo can help with that, then, make life easy for your club and for yourself. So yeah, that will be my official statement on Venmo. Next slide.
First off, Lawrence, what do you think about that?
About what?
Venmo.
Oh, okay. So in the year of 2018, there's a new rule that's happening in CNH Kiwanis International, where sales tax is gonna have to be documented for all profit made that's not going to basically a charitable entity such as service or the Chicago Energy Initiative. So that's gonna be really new. So that's, if you're a treasurer, basically keep that in mind, that there's gonna be new forms coming out when it comes to our 501(c)(4 status as a Circuit International. So it's not going to be hard. It just means that if you want to sell something for profit, then there's just an extra step between it, but it's not going to be a kill of your term when it comes to your administrative. So it's like, for example, you have to give receipts when it comes to things you do make profit on, but there's going to be a non-profit waiver that the district's making it so much easier. So you just basically have to sign the form and then you're good. So more info will be out later once it's actually an official thing. But David learned all about it at our last district board weekend, and he's prepared to tell you all about it.
Which was now. Okay. Thank you, Lawrence. Moving on.
All right, next slide. All right, so club funds. Basically, how I've always come out across club funds is like, spend it, but be responsible. So basically make a budget. Consult with your board on how much you would like to be allocated to each chair or event. For FTC, DCON, improve existing events and projects before creating new ones. So if there's any way you have a former fundraising event, then you should find a way to optimize that before you go on and take on a whole new project. Focus on how the club has traditionally raised funds and how much, and always be wary of the account at all times. Anytime throughout the year when you come up upon board meetings, you'll see that people have ideas for like brand new projects, brand new ideas, and the biggest question is always going to be like, hey, how much do we have in our account? And you're going to need to answer that every time. And the last thing you want to do is to be in the middle or be near the end of January, and then the closest receipt that you have on your bank account is something from October, knowing that you've had a banquet and a couple other events since then. So you always want to have an idea of how much money you have in your account. All right, and to Lucas Seychelles, I do not know the exchange rate on pesos to dollars. I heard the market is quite fluctuating, so that is a question I cannot answer. All right, next slide. All right, securing the bag for the club. Fundraising, basically. So when you fundraise, there's some questions you want to ask for yourself. Is there a goal? Raising funds for decon, or is it providing a place to eat or drink after a service event? How much are you willing to be put up? So if you're doing a fundraising event where maybe it's not traditional, like eat at a restaurant or a bowl place and get money back, but you're doing like a bake sale or something, you're going to want to estimate your costs and know how much you got to put up and how many people needed. Yeah, I mean, bakery items sell themselves, but you need someone there so, stuff doesn't get stolen and all that good stuff. All right. And always be sure that any type of fundraising you do that's on campus, be wary that you're following campus rules and you're filing the proper paperwork, and you're knowing that where you're going to go to cut checks. So that'll be the business office most likely. And depending if you fundraise with certain organizations, they may ask for a tax ID code, which you can again get through most likely your business office. And always set enough time to advertise the event. So, for example, if you do something like a Hasu, teriyaki, and sushi fundraiser on February 10th from 12 noon to 5 p.m. in Folsom, That's a good amount of time before the actual event. So should anyone be hungry on the day of February 10th from 12 to 5 p.m., they would come through the Hasu Teriyaki and Sushi fundraiser on 25075 Blue Ravine Street, and we'll enjoy knowing that the proceeds will go to benefit CLSSP Spring 2018. Oh no, that's just an example. I don't know what y'all talking about. All right, next slide. All right, so lastly, some lasting advice I'd leave for treasurers, or soon-to-be people that want to be treasurers. It's really good to establish good connections with your Kiwanis and your club, as well as whoever is in charge of your club and events at your proper school. Kiwanis will be a service event, or Kiwanis will be a constant source of service events, and in those service events where they offer money, from a personal experience, I've had my Kiwanis more than happy to split partial funds split partial service funds with our club. And when it comes to financial times where there's money needed for decon or FTC, being in good standing with your Kiwanis, they will help you out with that. The benefit of being with your club and event supervisor at your respective school is that any questions that you need regarding money and the club account can be settled way more quicker. And understand that business office and admin people are people too. So if you're pushing for a bunch of reimbursements for your members last minute right before winter break starts, understand that it's gonna take a minute, because not only do they have to deal with checks for your club, they have checks with the other clubs, and they also have to deal with income coming in from new students that want to register for school. So understand they're people too. Also know you're not the only new treasurer at the Capitol. You will be elected alongside many other fine treasurers from schools such as UC Davis, Sac State, Reno, Delta, ULP, Chico, all the good stuff. So, be at it on Facebook, be constant on Facebook, join their groups, and, know that you have a connection with other treasurers that can help you out should you ever have any questions. Quick shout out to Capital Sugar Daddy Mummies and Messy Meso groups. Early registration deadlines, treat them like they're the real deadlines, because really, why are you trying to pay late registration fees for, man? Come on, you're a treasurer trying to save people money. Early registration deadlines are the real deadlines. Health as well, so remember to take care of yourself. And now go get the money. Lasting gift for y'all.
Thank you, Mikey. All right, next up is Secretary.
Hi,
Cool.
guys.
Alex?
My name is Alex Lee. From UC Davis. I'm a second-year mechanical engineering major, and I'm the secretary for UC Davis. So to start off, if you're planning on running for secretary, next slide, please. To start off, if you're planning to run for secretary, you should begin by seeing if this is the position for you. So you should create a literature for when elections come up. This can show the members who you are, what you have done for the club, and what kind of goals you have. So what in the limited time you have for your speech that you can't say everything, you can put it in the literature. So running for secretary, you should ask yourself, what can you offer to the club? Secretary has a lot of organization jobs and collecting serfs, club event report forms. So you should tell your members what you have, what plans do you have, and what kind of goals do you have. And jumping into goals, you should have some goals in mind for the year. As secretary, you work with your board to achieve goals. And when you are a secretary, you have a lot of space to do what you plan to and what you want to. So how will you use the position to its maximum potential? Maybe you can introduce an idea that the club has never seen, or you can also improve on past traditions. Next slide. So more about the best position, the secretary. The secretary maintains and organizes all records and files of the club. So you're responsible for collecting the club event report forms, which are basically puzzles or building blocks for a monthly report form or a master record sheet. These collect all the data of events and what members go to events, how many hours they serve, or how much money you raise from a fundraiser, who drives. It's basically all of the information from an event onto an Excel sheet. And secretaries also take meeting minutes. So meeting minutes are basically summaries or information about like a general meeting or a board meeting. They're in charge of keeping track of what happens during board meetings and general meetings. So if you need information or you want to know what happened, people can refer to these meeting minutes. You also take attendance during meetings because there is a section in the monthly report form that requires attendance, and you need that information to fill it out. So a monthly report form is a form you fill out every month, hence the name monthly report form. And you work with your board to fill this out. It's really difficult to fill it out all by yourself because, of course, you need information about what happened during the month for your club. There's like goals you have, what kind of fundraisers you've had, and an events log where you compile all of the serves for the month. And basically, it summarizes what happens of the month. So you can see how many hours your goals achieved or your club achieved, and what you want to improve for next month. So you work with your board to create goals for the year. Every season, like fall, summer, winter, or spring, you want to have goals. Maybe you want to keep traditions, or you want a certain amount of service hours per club member, or you want more members to go out to divisional or district events. You can work with your board and try to come up with ideas or incentives to allow your members to have these opportunities. And another part of being a secretary is filling out a master record sheet. Traditionally, this is a secretary's job, but clubs with bigger clubs have a member recognition program chair. So if your club does have a MRP chair, they usually handle the MRS. So it is important that you work with the MRP chair. But if you don't, the MRS is basically it's a club file where you can see all the individual members' progress to see like what kind of events they went to, how many events they shared, stuff like that for the member recognition program to see if you have like bronze, silver, or gold. So compared to the MRS tells a lot of information for the club members, while the MRF tells information about the club as a whole. Moving on to the next slide. So as a secretary, it's important to try to get to know all of your members. This makes it easier for you to collect serfs if you like need to communicate with someone if they share an event. But generally, getting to know all your members is such a rewarding experience because you have a lot of people who have your back, or if you need something, you can contact anyone. And secretary organization is an important aspect of the position. So you want to create a systematic method or something to keep all your files so you know where everything is. And although secretary is a lot of time-consuming work, you should balance your work, like school, social life, and other priorities, because if you focus everything on Circle K, that leads to burnout, and you don't want that. So moving on to the next one, as secretary, it's easy to just stay with your serfs and just stay in your bubble. But I really recommend you go out of your bubble and try to do things out of your position. Traditionally, UC Davis secretaries, I handle this weekly email. So apart from my other secretary jobs, I edit this newsletter every week and I send it out to the members as another way to let my members know what's going on. So I like to introduce new ideas to maybe future secretaries for other alternatives of how to do more as your position, because there is a lot of room to do what you want. And You can also be more involved on a divisional level as a secretary. I feel like there's a lot of room for that too. It's just pop your bubble. It's a really rewarding experience, and I recommend it. Also, as a secretary, when you're at the end of every month, you need to get all the serfs, and you're probably bombarded with serfs to fill out your forms. If you need help, just ask for it. Everyone's there for you. Don't think you should be taking everything on yourself. And like I said earlier, there's a lot of room to help your club grow in this position. So take advantage of that. And yeah, this is the best position, so you should run for it. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. And moving on to Vice President of Administration, Joshua.
Okay. Hey guys, so my name is Joshua Arnaro. I'm from the University of the Pacific, and I'm the current Vice President of Administration. And I would like to share another amazing position on eBoard. Next slide. Okay, so how to run for VPA or AVP. So first off, have an ideal plan of how to manage your appointed board. So as VPA or AVP, you have the opportunity to put as many or as little positions as you want, if given needed an appointed board. And is also to set the standards and expectations at the beginning of the term, because that way you can have like, your board has an idea of how the board should run, expectations are set. There's also the myth that many people would say that I would hear often is VPA or AVP is the easiest e-board position because you just have to tell people what to do. However, every position has its own type of difficulty. Telling the A-board what to do is easy, but making sure they do it accurately and punctually is a different story. There will be like examples where I would give a task to an A-board member, and I would have to remind them consistently in order for them to do it. And with that, it's just an example of like in VPA, it's more like you work with the person, not you give them different tasks each and so often. And with that, I want to say passion and dedication is over experience. So you can have a lot of experience, and that's really great in the position of VPA. But personally, I would say passion and dedication is overall, because the A-board will see how much passion or dedication you have for the position and for the club that you are serving. So whether you're a general member or returning board member, you are totally capable of running for any E-board position as well as VPA. And passion will get you so far in terms of influencing and inspiring your appointed board. Oh, next slide. So some specific tasks and duties as a VPA or AVP is attending your general and executive board meetings. Always have a presence with your club and make sure you're there for your members because you are there to serve them, and as well as your appointed board. Lead appointed board meetings if necessary, depending on your club. So if your club has an appointed board, of course, lead the appointed board meetings with the help of your E-board and president. And as well, work with your president to decide on the duties and tasks for your A-board. So this was, for me, I did this with our president at the very beginning of the term, setting the duties that were needed to be done by each appointed board member. So if it needed to be done, I would delegate it to a respective board member or initiate another position. For example, last year, we initially did not have a member recognition chair. And I believe that as a previous MD&E chair, it was really difficult doing socials for families as well as doing the MRS. So I decided to separate that position. And it really worked. It worked out really well this year. And I'd recommend like making sure no one is overwhelmed. Also, if someone on your board is unable to finish their task, then you should redelegate the task to another officer or take on the task yourself. So it's always important to not task and give it to an individual board member and overwhelm them, because there will be times where they'll just burn out, and that would not be good for your club or your board. So always assign regularly and respectively. And also lead the appointed board and be the right hand of your president. Literally the right hand of your president. Always make sure you're there to support and help, because on side with the president, it is a difficult position where you do need the support of the club. So that's why you also have to help them as much as you can, as well as your club and e-board. And on top of that, be open-minded to new ideas and plans and have an open ear for your board. So be flexible to new things. There are many opportunities in the position of VPA where there will be things you won't expect or things won't go your way, and that's completely fine and okay. Because as an e-board member, there are just many different times you just have to situate yourself in order to make the situation better for your club. Okay, next slide. And advice for VPA or AVP. So it's about the relationships, not the numbers. So whether you have a small or a large club, make it a goal to meet and know majority, if not all of your members. That way you can build those relationships, because if you don't do that, what's more, if a member just attends a club meeting and there's no relationship or reason to stay, all the more reason as an executive board member, you're representing the club that you stand by, and it's really great to build these relationships. It always starts with a hello. Be organized and manage your time wisely. So always be punctual with your things. If you say you want something done by 7:30, make sure it's done by 7:30. Or if you want it to be done by Friday, make sure it's done by Friday. For example, with appointed board meetings, I would like to have them regularly every Tuesday. That way, there's no confusion of whether it's going to be this day or that day or the other, or doing it bi-weekly, whether you have a meeting on this meeting or the next. So always have it regularly and manage your time wisely. And then maintaining good relations with your board and communicate with transparency. So one thing I learned as a VPA is that the position, you're working with a lot of different people, all of which have a different personality and different respect for how school and all their priorities go. So understand that everyone has a different schedule with different priorities. Be sure to keep everyone updated on current club events and tasks, and your board will be full of different personalities. So learn to manage. Also balance your personal and your professional life. So be mindful of your actions because you represent Circle K and your home club. Don't get overwhelmed because health does come first and you are a student first. And reach out for help whenever needed. So like all the other positions on the e-board, you are elected with other people from other clubs. And that way, like, you have a complete full support system, whether it be in your home club or on a divisional level. For me personally, I talk to all the other VPAs from all the other schools, and as well as my predecessor, and they always give me the help and support that I need. And so to any future e-board member, you're never alone. Okay, next slide. Next slide. Okay, and if you're thinking about running for VPA or AVP, I do have some advice for you. So you only get out what you put in. So it's really more of a free position, whether like how much effort you put into the club and in this position is what you get out of it. So know what you'll be getting yourself into before taking on the position first off. Always understand your capabilities and don't overwhelm yourself. Working with others is also a difficult task, but is an essential part of being a leader. And personally, I can say being part of being VPA, I've completely grown from when I was a freshman in college, and I could say so for all other e-board positions as well. And also, don't let an 8 minutes give or take a speech or caucus stop you from running for a position that you believe you can do a really good job in. If you have any mindset of running for a position, I highly suggest you do so, because it is a really great experience and it's a really unique one of an experience. So if you have even the slightest bit of wanting to run for VP or e-board, just do it, because you never know the results and you wouldn't want to regret it later. Look at the penguin. Okay, I'm done.
All right,
Hi, everyone.
Thank you, Joshua. Oh, no.
Okay, you first, David.
All right, thank you, Joshua, for Vice President Service. Joey Pontius, go ahead.
So, hi guys, my name is Joey Pontius, and I'm the Vice President of Service this year for the University of Nevada, Reno. I am a third year and a business major, and without any further ado, you can go on to the next slide. Okay, so how to run for the position of Vice President of Service or Service Vice President. When you run, you want to have a clear idea of what goal you want to finish throughout your entire term. This includes what kind of communities do you want to reach, where do you want to take your club, et cetera, et cetera. When you're running for Vice President of Service, you got to keep in mind the bigger picture. How do you want your Circle K club to affect your community? And with that, you are the driving force of the most important tenet of our club. When people think about service, one of the first things that'll pop into people's minds with your Circle K club is, oh, this is the Vice President of Service or Service Vice President. And the service that you do is a direct reflection of how much work you put into it. Another thing when you're running for the position of VPS or SVP is you want to make sure you clearly distinct your expectations versus reality. As a VPS, a lot of problems come up last minute, and you may think like, oh, I may not come across those problems. I promise you, they're going to happen no matter what. There may be issues with organizing carpool, some driver drops, or there may be some issues with volunteer coordinators. this term, I actually set up a service event, and I was emailing back and forth. And then I emailed her 2 days before the event how many members we had coming in, and it turns out she quit. So there's so many things that can go wrong, but a lot of how you counteract that is you can either be proactive or reactive, or proactively reactive. With proactive, you want to have a contingency plan about, okay, so if something goes wrong, do I have something to fall back on, like another event, so that I don't just have to tell all my members that signed up for the service event, oh, we don't have it anymore. Or how well do you react to some last minute complication to where you still are able to have something and not just come out empty handed. And then as for any other executive board position, you really want to ask yourself why you want to take up this position. The position of vice president of service / service vice president, again, it is reflecting the most important tenet of our club between service, leadership, and fellowship. It really, you have no idea how much of an impact you can make to the community surrounding you, and you want to make sure you're running for it for the right reason, because you want to leave a message about the good you can do in the communities around you. And next slide, please. All right, so with your responsibilities, what a VPS does is you reach out to organizations to set up service events, and as compared to the vice president of administration, think of it as internal versus external relations. So the vice president of administration is working with your entire board, and that's internally. With the vice president of service, you are reaching out outside of your club as an external relation. You still don the title of a vice president of service. Not only do you just reach out to organizations, you create service events through your own resources. You can be really creative with how you host a service event, whether it be a tabletop or you host your own service event. It also is like, be creative with what kind of service you want to do. It really is meaningful if you start a new service event that your successor can pick up on, and it becomes like a lasting tradition. Another thing is you want to work closely with your service chair. I know some schools have like service committees, and it really varies whether their VPS or their service chair is head of that committee. But with working closely with your service chair, it's like, oh, you're not alone with working for organizing all these service events. You do have someone to back you up, like a right-hand man. And not only that, just as a general thing, support your president, board, and club. Remember that you are an executive officer, and you still do take part in making executive decisions throughout your club. So your president is under a lot of stress. The VPA is their right-hand man. You are their left-hand man. And then with the board, oh, okay. I mean, that's all right. With the board, you can work with them just as much as anyone else, take up tasks that can't be fulfilled by anyone else, and just be present with your club. And then next slide, please. All right. So advice for any interested VPS or SVPs, familiarize yourself with your environment. So what I mean by that is you want to know what kind of community you live in so that you can figure out what kind of causes that you can support, what you can contribute to. One big plus that really ended up benefiting me throughout this entire term is I ended up learning a lot about the Reno community that I never would have learned had I not taken up the position of VPS. You also want to familiarize yourself with the upcoming service initiatives, because remember, like, once you are elected, you are working with a new service initiative, and you want to figure out ways how you can contribute to that initiative. And then familiarizing yourself with your club. Again, like Josh said earlier, you want to be present with your club, and you also want to be present with your own events. It doesn't really sit well if you're setting up these service events and the person who set them up isn't really even going there. But that's not to say like, oh, don't set up service events that you can't go to. Don't be afraid to do that either, because you are there to create the opportunity for members to become involved through service, as listed on like one of the bottom points. I kind of like skipped ahead. And then one more thing you want to familiarize yourself with is your email. that's passed down if your club has one. With Reno, for example, the VPS email is passed down to their successors. You want to be looking through all the organizations that have been contacted before. That is a really great way to figure out who you can work with. And that's also a great way to figure out how your predecessors interacted with these volunteer coordinators or different organizations. And it gives you an idea of what you can do so that you don't just go in blindly. Next thing is that you want to manage the calendar. Now, we do have like a divisional calendar, but you also want to bear in mind what your club is doing and how you can set up service events in a timely manner. But it's kind of a blurry line with setting up multiple events, conflicting events. You wouldn't want to schedule a service event on something that's like super important. Like, let's say you schedule a service event with this organization, but someone else on your board also agreed that you provide members to Kiwanians to help with another service event at the same time. You're kind of like, oh, what do we do now? And then a different example would be for Reno, for example, on the weekend of fall training conference. We had 30 members going, but of course not everyone's going to be wanting to go to fall training conference. Not everyone can afford it. So we set up a service event that weekend with Girls on the Run. And then the feedback actually was, oh, I wasn't able to go to fall training conference, but it was really nice that I had this event to go to instead, so that I wasn't doing anything on the weekend. And lastly, you want to focus on quality over quantity. Yes, we are Circle K and we do take pride in the amount of service that we do, but it kind of doesn't mean anything if the service you're doing doesn't really leave an impact. You want to do service that means something, that leaves someone better off than they were before you came. Like again, you'll hear this many times before, and if you're running, you'll even hear this in caucus. What does meaningful service mean to you? I want to iterate that there's no correct answer. It's different from person to person. Meaningful service is different from person to person. It's how you view it. But again, quality over quantity. Next slide, please.
So is that it for you, Joey?
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much, Joey, for your presentation. Next up is presented by Tweet Tran from Sac State.
Hi guys. So my name is Tweet Tran and I'm the president of Sac State Circle K. Shout out to all my members from Sacramento State Circle K who are joining me on this webinar right now. Woo! All right, so you can move on to the next slide. So how to run for president. So first things first, president, as you guys know, is pretty big position. You do a lot of things, a lot of responsibilities that you may not be sure about, like a lot of behind the scene things. So you just want to make sure that you're running for the right reasons. Like you want to run because you want to improve the club, you want to gain leadership qualities, or you want to, reach this really great goal about what your club wants to accomplish. And what you don't want to do is you don't want to do it for the title or for the attention or for the perks, like going to just doing it just because it is a lot of responsibility, and it'd be a shame for you to do something like that and then like be burned out halfway through because of how difficult it can be sometimes. Next up, also to run for president, you want making a literature. So this is a graphic that shows all of your qualifications and all of your goals. So you can talk about previous experience, like maybe any appointed board committees that you were joining, district committees, how many hours, it could be service leadership and fellowship, and then also list a few goals that you have. It doesn't have to be too extravagant. It can be anything like maintaining old traditions or bringing in new ideas like a benefit concert, or having like a really large scale social like out in Lake Tahoe or something. So, and then also it's cool to set goals and everybody's going to be really excited like, ooh, this person's going to do this, but also saying that you want to state a plan in order to guarantee this desired end result. So saying like, yeah, we can have a fundraiser every single week after our general meetings, and this fundraiser can be set towards this large-scale social. And after that, we can also be able to bring in 40 members and all that, and we can always promote this. So as long as you have a plan, people will be like, wow, this person really thought it through. Like, they're really thinking about this position, and they're serious about it. And another thing that has been mentioned by the other officers that I also want to bring up is that you want to focus on quality, not quantity. So, of course, meaningful service, we're a community service organization, so please focus on meaningful service, because that is really great and integral to what our club is. Also having like inclusive socials, making sure everybody's feeling welcomed, and then professional development, our leadership tenet. You know, you want to make sure that the people who are joining the club, Circle K, is like getting something out of it that can benefit them for the future after college as well. And you do not want to focus too much on quantity, like, oh, number of service hours, like, yeah, let's all just aim for 400 hours. Like, it's more about the impact and less about the amount, right? So you want to make sure that your goals are more quality than quantity. Next slide, please. So next is responsibilities and duties. Disclaimer, each club ranges so differently, for being a small club, middle-sized club, or a large club. So I hope like I'm at least touching the responsibilities that will go for all presidents. But of course, the first thing is being the face and the representative of your club. So you are going to be the first person where most, if not all of your members are going to see you. They're going to see you front and center at general meetings. They're going to see you at tabling and everything. So your impression will set, whether you like it or not, will set it for them. So you want to make sure that you're being kind and you're always welcoming, you know, just making sure that that you're making a good impression of what your club is, because that's who you are. Next, you want to know all your members' faces and their names, you know? You want to be sure that you're like being really friendly and like they can always reach out to you, like whether it's as a friend or as a mentor. Usually like the president, they're a little bit older than the other members, of course. So, you know, you're there to help them with their college education, but also tell them like, oh yeah, like if you need to know anything about Circle K, I'm here for you as well. And, you know, because you're there, they also want to reach out to you as a friend. Like maybe they're having a tough time and that's what you can do. And then next, you also want to create transparency between your board and your general members. So your board members, you know, everything is happening on there. Sometimes there can be some tension or some difficulties that are happening. You want to relay that to the general members so that there's no conflict and there's like nothing is getting too spread out in terms of like, oh, if there's an issue, that if it's getting passed word to word, then or person to person, then someone else can hear a completely different thing. So if you're being very clear about this, then it'd be really great. And then next, it would be delegate and participate. So this is a very big thing that maybe a few of you guys who may be running for president that you may not know, but of course you're going to be delegating a lot of responsibilities to your board members, making sure that you are developing as leaders as well. And then also you want to participate. So for me personally, I am participating in all of our committees on our appointed board here at Sac State Circle K. And not only am I just a part of it, I want to attend their committee meetings, I want to put in input, I want to make sure that I'm helping them out at events and whatever they need. So always participate and just, you know, show that your support for your appointed board members, because even though you're there, even though your VP is there as well, you want to help put in that support and not create such a large disconnect, because you're just like everybody else, just a general member who's helping everybody out as a leader. Next, training both of your executive and appointed board. Once you get elected, you're going to be training everybody. Of course, those people can reach out to their predecessors, but after they do, they'll be mostly reaching out to you as president. So you want to make sure that you guys are all on the same page, setting goals, making plans in order to reach those goals as well. And then lastly, handling paperwork. So there are a lot of behind the scenes things that none of your general members will ever see, and then you may not have known unless you have ever talked to your president now or a previous president before. But there may be things like you need to book your meeting rooms for your board meetings or for your general meetings. You also have to make sure that you're in good standing with the club. So when you're in your club, you're just concerned about Circle K, but your club is also on campus. And so that means you're very integral to what the school is. You have to make sure you abide by their laws and their rules as well. So yeah, next slide, please. All right, so I have 2 parts: advice, tips, and tricks for those of you guys who are becoming president. First thing is you want to set the mood and momentum at the beginning of the year. So what it means, like, you want to decide what kind of president you want to be. And then, like, this will all start with meetings and interactions as club president. As soon as you're elected, you how you act is how people will perceive you. So you don't want to be too much of a pushover. Always saying yes. You want to make sure you have that iron fist sometimes when needed. And also, you at the beginning of the year, you can say, like, as soon as you're having your board, your general meetings and your board meetings, how you perceive yourself, as how everybody perceives you as a leader, is very important. So you want to make sure that you're there and you're good, and you're you want to get down to business, but you're also there to have fun as well. So you want to make sure that you set this at the very beginning so everybody knows. Don't wait till later. As soon as you get elected, that's it. That's you right there. Next, a very big thing that I found out as president is you have to balance. Like, this position is full of fine lines. There are so many lines that you feel like you cannot cross. So it's a little bit difficult knowing what to do. So you want to do well in school, but you also want to do well in your club and making sure that everything is going well. Because when things aren't going well, of course it falls back onto you, and that's fine. You just have to make sure that you own up to it and everything. So you want to make sure you create boundaries for professional and fun settings. So let your board know that, there are times when you have to be serious and you have to talk to them one-on-one, and and then there will be times when you can just hang out, and then you won't bring other things out. Like, let's say, for instance, something happens in Circle K, you're not going to bring that out when you're there in a social setting. So you want to make sure that you are dividing this for for your club, and you want to make sure that you're dividing it for yourself as well, so you can act like yourself, and then there are some times when you need to act more like a leader. Next, you also want to build good relationships with your members, and hang outside of them, outside of Circle K events. That also, decreases the dependence on a club, because this club is very pivotal to your college experience. It can take a large chunk of your time. Very true. And so you want to make sure that, that is not the only thing you're going to. You want to make your college experience so much more than that. Even though Circle K is so wonderful, you want to make sure that, the friends that you have in Circle K are not just there just for Circle K, that you guys are really going to be friends afterwards, hanging out for your birthday, everything like that. Such good times. So building those good relationships, even as president, you never know when you're going to find your best friend. Next, you also want to depend on your board and your older general members. Cannot emphasize enough on those older general members. They are the foundation of your club. They are the people who are retaining your new members and making your club such a fun time. So don't let that stress build up on you and shoulder all the responsibility. Even though you feel like you have to take care of everything yourself, that is not good for you. It's going to lead to burning out, and that you don't want the end of your term to be the end of Circle K for you altogether. So just make sure that you depend on your board, lean on them, let them know, I'm stressed out right now. Can you guys please take care of this responsibility for this week? And so I can catch up on schoolwork or something, or I need some personal time for myself away from the club maybe. And then you come back and you feel recharged. So you just reach out to them, and I know that they will always help you out as well. Next slide. Right. Also, you want to make sure you're keeping a level head. So Joey said, in his slides, how things can go wrong, especially at service events. And so things will go wrong, and the club will look to you on what to do, and you have to make sure that you're making the best decision that you can. It may not always be the right decision, and that is okay. You just want to make sure that you're very calm. And because if you seem worried, everybody else is going to also seem worried and on edge. So just making sure that in times of need that you're there to be a dependable person. Next, let your board trip and fall, and then lend a helping hand. So remember that not everything is in your control, and it's it is good for your board to make mistakes and for them to learn from them. So even though you may have the knowledge on what to do, you want to make sure that you let their ideas come through and then let them learn from that if it did not work out. And then afterwards, you want to make sure that you don't reprimand your members in front of everyone. You want to take them to the side and talk to them one-on-one. This is very important. This can create a lot of tension, and I would say that this is something that you should always handle one-on-one and making sure about those things. And then lastly, don't be too hard on yourself and have a really, really good time. So I'm gonna break it down for you. So as soon as you get elected, you have 1 month of training, probably like from March to April, 3 months of summer. So some schools don't even have events over the summer. So it's very chill right around that time. You're planning a lot of events for the future. And then it's 4 months of craziness. So you have first general meetings, FTC, new member install, everything's coming at you. Everything is going, you know? And then after that, you have one more month of your term, and then you're going to be getting a successor, and then you got to train them as decon, as end of the year, bam, it's done. The whole year is just gone, you know? So you want to make sure that you take in everything and you just do the best that you can. So it's going to go by really, really fast. So you want to make sure, like, there may be goals that you cannot accomplish, and that's okay. Don't be so hard on yourself, because, you know, the fact that you're even stepping up to the plate is just amazing. And I hope all of you guys really consider running for president. It's honestly like one of the most fulfilling positions, and I've never felt closer to my board members and to my general members. And in general, the club is just really close to my heart, and I'm glad that I am president now. So I hope you guys can really go for that. Even if you feel like you may not be good enough for something, that's okay. You know, you are good enough. Just as long as you have passion for Circle K, then you'll definitely be a good president. So yeah, thank you guys.
Whew, thank you, Twee, for that awesome presentation. You know, that's pretty much it for executive positions on level. There's also appointed positions, but we'll get on to that another time. Outside of the club level, you can actually move on to the division and the district level. In the division level, you can think about capital division within like the subset of clubs within California, Nevada, Hawaii. And then there's district level, where you are part of just the board that is in charge of the functions of all of the clubs within California, Nevada, Hawaii. And the district positions include district governor, lieutenant governors, district secretary, and district treasurer, and also other district chairs as well. But for now, here are some positions that are here. So, hi everyone. My name is David Ngo. I am your Capital Division Lieutenant Governor. I was from University of the Pacific from 2012 to 2017. And then I graduated, and now I go to San Joaquin Delta College at 2017. Long story short, I'm an OG. But yeah, so this is going to be a presentation about me talking about what the role of Lieutenant Governor is, and as well as a reflection of basically my term and experience that I wanted to share with you as well. I often being a Lieutenant Governor is the easiest job ever, and that is an act of passive aggression. It's not an easy job, but it's the most rewarding job ever. Sorry, Twee. Anyways, so let's talk about what the Lieutenant Governor does. So there are some so there are some kind of the role of the Lieutenant Governor is kind of not, it's all like background work, to be honest. Just give me 1 second, actually, because I just updated these slides. Cool. It's a lot of background work. It's actually a lot more than you may think, other than like visiting clubs in your division, having a great time. So the Lieutenant Governor, their role is to oversee the functions of all the clubs within the division. Now, in Capital's case, that includes Chico State, Sac State, Folsom Lake College, Lake Tahoe Community College, Sacramento City College, San Joaquin Delta College, UC Davis, UN Reno, University of the Pacific, and possibly more. So how this works is that you are going to be there as a resource for the executive boards and for your presidents as well, to make sure that things are running internally in their board smoothly, And if any case, you become the resource that they need in order for them to build themselves or charter, or in order for them to basically solve any problems that may arise on board. Now, yes, you are as a resource, but you can also like use a role to create a resource as well. Now, that being said, like we have a division leadership team, shout out to Elena and Christine, that are delegated by the lieutenant governor to basically of what the division needs and meet those needs as well. And they've always been there to act as a resource, whether it is regarding needing service projects or regarding needing graphics and such for the clubs to always reach out to in it. You're also going to act as a sort of counselor. Give me 1 second. So you're also going to act as sort of a counselor or mentor to your presidents. You know, if you're going to be, so you're going to have a council of presidents within the division where you're always going to keep a constant communication to check up on them or make sure that they are doing fine. You're basically acting as as basically their emotional, or basically their someone for them to fall upon, for them to be able to to be able to move on to their term. Also, you're going to be acting as a role model to your members. Yeah, I hope you guys see me that way. You're going to be there to empower your members or make them feel welcome to the division, but also help them grow as people and as leaders as well within Circle K, and make them feel very welcomed in and their clubs and Circle K as a whole. Part 2. Now, there are also other roles as for a lieutenant governor. You also act as a Kiwanis family liaison and representative to the K-Fam branches. Now, in this case, there's Kiwanis, Key Club, Kiwins, and there's a lot more as well. You are responsible for maintaining a good relationship with the sponsoring Kiwanis clubs of the clubs within your division, just Stockton Kiwanis with University Pacific, or Kiwanis Club of Rancho Cordova for Folsom Lake College. There are also Kiwanis divisions as well that's within your boundaries that you are expected to reach out to and maintain a good relationship, at least check up on them once in a while. And there are also, wants me to name them all, for Capital Division, we have Division 7, Division 14, Division 23, 27, Division 39, 34, 45. Right, Lawrence? I believe so. Oh, there's also 13. Anyways, and we just adopted 8. Awesome. So, time to reach out to them. Yeah, you're going to be also maintaining a good communication or relationship with your Kiwanis advisors for your clubs, and also your regional advisor as well, to make sure that things are approved or clubs to function very well. You're reaching out to the Key Club LTGs and Kiwins LTGs as well to encourage their members to move on to Circle K and just keep that family line or family branch, those family branches tight, as you are representing the collegiate branch of the Kiwanis family. On district board, alongside with the fellow LTGs, executive board, and chairs, where we would meet every other month down in Rancho Cordova to decide on different amendments or proposals that will decide the fate of the district. You're going to uphold the tenets and values of Circle K service, leadership, and fellowship. Again, reverting back to you're being a role model to your members and giving Circle K International a good name, basically acting a face. Represent your clubs and division during district board meetings. So what I do is that I always reach out to the presidents. I always reach out to to the members as well. Whenever there's a district board packet out, I always ask for your opinion so I can always be your voice at the district board meetings to make sure that your clubs are represented equally amongst everyone else. You're expected to host monthly DCMs for club, division, district updates. Shout out to Andy Alva for hosting the January DCM. Good job, Andy. And yes, you're forming a division leadership team to meet goals. Now, these are basically the minimum responsibilities of the lieutenant governors, but there's also a lot more. But as far as what you're expected to do, this is pretty much it. Preparing to run for LTG. Now you have to. It's not about your experience at all for running for LTG, but if you want to run for LTG, no matter like where you stand in the club as a new member or a freshman, like I always want to encourage you to take the steps to go for it. Because you'll never know where you end up. Think about your platform. Think about what the division needs. Because maybe, oh my gosh, because maybe what you have in mind could be something that answers maybe a flaw in the division, or make the division soar much higher than where it is right now. So when you think about your platform, I always think about a phrase that you always fall back on as a goal. So in my case, I always think about empowerment. I always think about development. Now, what that means is this division to the direction that members or anyone in Circle K International has the opportunity to grow and become stronger leaders and become more confident in themselves as they make an impact to those around them through either service or through committees and such that, to make them feel important in Circle K, to make them be able to make an impact. What is your vision for the division? What is your vision for the future Circle K International? And what do you want to see out of the members that you're going to be serving as well? And what drives you? Okay. You don't need to have, in my case, 5 years of experience in Circle K in order to be qualified to be lieutenant governor. Okay. All that matters is that you care about the clubs, you care about your members, and you care about Circle K enough to be able to get into this position where you serve others and make sure that your clubs are working well and make sure that your members are enjoying themselves and feeling welcomed in the club. Okay, and I saw this from Lawrence's webinar from last year, but there are steps to running. There's step 1, submit a candidate intent form, proof of enrollment, and service agreement to the district administrator. That is your first step to be able to make you eligible to be able to run for a district board position or a lieutenant governor. Then step 2, run at a district convention. Total of 7 minutes, total caucus. All right, Lawrence? Yeah. So, and then there's step 3, final presentation at the House of Delegates, where the presidents or 2 delegates from each club in your division vote for you. And step 4, you win with a majority of votes. Yeah, if you look to your right, that is my literature of me when I ran for lieutenant governor. There are different platforms that I listed out, and there are different. You can basically use this template or as an inspiration for when you run. Now, what can you do now? So there are club elections coming up right now in your home club. This is optional, but I would totally recommend that you go to your home club during your club election and ask for an endorsement from your home club to allow you or to support you in running for lieutenant governor. It would look amazing on your literature, and it would basically initiate support from your members. It's optional, but completely recommended. Save the date for February 10th, 2018, 4:30 p.m. This is the Candidates Education Session North. This is where the district board gets together, and if you're interested in running for any position, this is basically or panels for you to get more information about like what life is like on district board, or how to take this next steps to run for lieutenant governor or for any position that you are aspiring for. Recommended. Save the date, February 10th, 2018. Facebook link later. District convention, March 23rd to 25th. You can't be elected for lieutenant governor if you're not at district convention or House of Delegates. Correct me if I'm wrong, Lawrence. For that as well, and registration ends pretty soon. So please talk to your treasurer, talk to your president, talk to your board about registering for DCON. It's an amazing experience, and you're not going to regret it. Start your literature and speech, okay? And talk to me or Lawrence. If you're interested, or if you're remotely curious about what being a lieutenant governor is like, talk to me, approach me or Lawrence. I might be sending out an interest form for you to schedule like a one-on-one between you and me to to just kind of enlighten you about what it's like being in the position and help you make your decision from here and then. So my experience and advice, so I would say this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. It's a very eye-opening experience, because me coming from a couple small clubs and moving up into divisional level, and Capital is pretty big as well. You know, I see it's so different and how they all function, but it still feels like Circle K to me. And to be honest, like at the end of the term, like these clubs mean so much to me and the members mean so much to me that I will basically do like whatever I can to ensure your success. It's a really rewarding position, because you're going to see how much your members grow, how much your division leadership team grows, your board members, or how much your club grows as well. And you're basically seeing the fruits of your labor, but also you're going to make so many amazing friendships along the way that, like, you know, you might make like best friends that you have in life. It is a hard position, but it's completely worth it. It is a very intimidating position, because every time I ask if someone like is considering for running for LTG, it's like, oh, it's so much work, right? But, you know, it's not that intimidating once you get into it. You know, there is a steep learning curve, but you'll basically go with the flow. I also want to say that it's not a competition. There is, you can't go into a position and be successful in your role if you are trying to one-up your predecessor. You know, every term is different and every LTG is different. As long as you're there to be a resource and meet the needs of your clubs, you are doing your position right. I also always tell this to anyone running for any position on executive board or district board: you are never fully qualified for your position until the end of your term. Okay, in the beginning, you're going to be completely lost, or you're just going to be really overwhelmed with the responsibilities. And this is a huge learning opportunity for you to grow and know what your role is for Circle K. And, you know, like sometimes you're not going to leave your term satisfied, but at least like you gain that experience, and that's pretty much all that matters. Experience is just one thing. I said this over and over again. It's not the skill set, it is the mindset that will make you qualified for the position, that will make you, that will drive you to your success. I also said that, yeah, you kind of have to be an emotional rock. It is an emotionally taxing position. But just know that you are not alone as a lieutenant governor. You always have your fellow presidents always there by your side, as you are there with them as well. You have your district board, you have your fellow members, your fellow board members. Basically, you're going to be surrounded by so many people that support you. Yeah, so many people that support you. And you're not pretty much high up there, or you're not going to be by yourself. You know, everyone here works as a team together to make your term a success. And again, this is the best position. If you want your full experience in Circle K, this is the position that you should really consider for. Anyways, next up is District Governor. Thank you, Lawrence.
All right, David. So you took all my screen time, so I'm gonna make this fast. So hello, everyone. My name is Lawrence, and I'm gonna talk about being district governor. Woo-hoo! Cool. All right. So district governor. So yeah. So hello. So I am from Sacramento State. So being district governor of the CNH District specifically is crazy because our district is like the biggest. So yeah, with being the biggest district, we get the most numbers of clubs to serve, raising the most number of dollars for charity and service hours cumulatively, and planning multiple events for over 300 people, up to maybe 900, like we're expecting for this year's decon. So since the Capital webinar, a fun fact for you all, there's only been 3 district governors to come from our Capital division. One of them was me. The second one was Danielle Watsu in 2008, but she was a graduating senior at the time, so she graduated that spring quarter, winning district governor, and then transferred to a community college where she did the entire term. And then exactly 40 years ago to
Give us 1 minute with technical difficulties. Hold on.
I know this webinar is running pretty late, but we did have a lot of things to say. We all really appreciate you for your time and being here for the webinar.
okay, hear me clearly. I was muted by someone in our chat, so I was like confused. I'm scared. I was trying to correct audio. Oh my. Okay, cool. All right, so in the chat, what was the last thing you guys heard? And I'll go off from there.
Okay.
Wait for that. Go back.
Oh, go back. Lawrence?
Okay, well, the last district governor, I think, that's what I was going to say, but from 40 years ago was actual Daniel Germain from Sacramento State. So really, there's only been 2 people who have served a full year from Capitol. Well, about to be 2 people to serve a full year in Capitol as district governor. So yeah. So why I run for governor is, I think that for any position, your past experience in the organization leads you to the position you want to run for. But like how I wouldn't know what to do as a president without my experience the year before on board. I wouldn't know what to do as an LTG before, while serving several clubs, while experiencing leading my own, and all that experience has led me to believe my own abilities to what I can do leading all the clubs in the division. So yeah, your club success and your board member success becomes yours, and you grow with the officers and presidents who stay close with you. And also another good thing is that Kwanians kind of immortalize you as like a god because, well, in the nicest way possible, because if they're local and they get to know you, it's like meeting a bunch of 100 godparents who just want to take care of you. They invite you to Christmas parties and stuff like that. It's pretty nice. And and also remember why you run. It's all about the members and being able to widen your horizons to the district and seeing all the members enjoy being in Soroke in the district is a good thing too. And Hawaii's nice. So yeah, next slide, please. So this is pretty much the logistics of being a district governor. You lead the board, and you represent this district at the Kiwanis events and international. So leading the board is pretty, brought up from a spectrum because you appoint the district chairs and they appoint their committees. You run the district board weekends, planning them, and you keep the board together. So everything that the lieutenant governors do, they need the governor to keep them grounded, and the clubs may extend to you whenever they need more help. And the functions of the district run through the district chairs that are appointed. So the FTC chair, decon chair. If one of them, resigns, then who becomes the person planning them? The governor. So that's just more emphasis on why the governor chooses the best chairs. So the goals that you have, the governor would have throughout the year actually runs to the chairs. And obviously, as a representative to Kiwanis, so I attend Kiwanis Convention and mid-years North and South these next 2 months. And I attend international council meetings at the about which are online every once in like 3 months too. So that's pretty much the gist of what being a governor does. You extend but really in any position, you really want to extend yourself as much as possible through visitations, attending different club meetings, their service events, and pretty much what you want to do to make yourself proud in any position you're in. Next slide. So pretty much so when you're running for district governor or secretary or treasurer, just like lieutenant governor, you can you submit your forms, run for endorsement at your club elections, and to be endorsed, you have to receive a supermajority of your club's approval, which is 2/3, which is like if you had 30 members at a election, you need 20. Math, right? And then you actually caucus more than what the LG does. So there's 5 rooms at the district convention. So you caucus 7 minutes each, twice. And then you receive 50% plus 1 of the votes of the entire House of Delegates, who have 2 members of every club vote, and along with the delegates at large. So there's about 120 delegates who are at the House of Delegates, and running for any of these positions, you have to receive a majority of those to win. And yeah, so overall, this position is really rewarding. I definitely look at all my past experiences and say that all the hard work, all the sleepless nights, all the emotional nights I spent with different people all the time, and the passion and organization really encapsulates for me in being governor, because everything really adds up to what I'm able to do for clubs in this position. So, if you ever come across the opportunity to run for this position, it's really something you don't want to let go. I definitely didn't plan on being governor from my first year, even though I thought it'd be nice. That's when it kind of sparked in my head. But really, you take things as they come, and this position kind of just came to me, and I took the opportunity, and here I am, and I do not regret a single thing.
Cool. Thank you, Lawrence. That's pretty much it for our speakers. Thank you so much for your time, all of you. We're going to leave about 5 minutes for questions, comments, concerns. Our speakers are here eagerly waiting for your questions. So there is like a 30-second lag on the YouTube chat to us. So just expect some lag right here, you guys. But yeah, while we wait for questions, comments, concerns, do you guys want to input anything else to share with our viewers?
Yeah, I actually do have like one more thing that I forgot to mention with the VPS/SVP part. While you are like the main driving force of the service in your club, along with your service chair, more often than not, your board will also help you with finding service events too. You're only one person, so you only have 2 ears. With your service chair, that's 4, and with the entire board, that's like what, 20-ish. So your board will help you find service events. People will hear things, so you're not alone on that.
Thank you, Joey. Okay, so we got a question from Alex Kwong. Would it be weird to run for treasurer, VPS, VPA, or secretary if you're a junior going on to being a senior? All right, who wants to answer this?
All right, so the question being, would it be weird? Nah, not really, because unless you're planning to like dip out for that school year, like I joined in knowing that I only had 2 semesters left at Folsom Lake College, and I'm nearing the end of my Folsom Lake term, as well as my treasurer term, and I still managed to learn enough in the time that I was given. So my answer would be, nah, it's not really weird. Would it be weird if you're running for all of those? Maybe just a bit. But if you're gonna pick one, pick treasurer, because it's the least taxing, I would say, of the bunch. Plus, your credit score is gonna go up really high if you're a treasurer.
I get it, Mikey. Treasurer's the least taxing.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Cool. Thank you, Mikey. Does anyone want to add on to that? I personally think it's never too late to run for board. It's always like if you feel like you can make good time to be able to meet your responsibilities on board, like this should stop you at all. Yeah. Can I run for a position if I'm graduating this semester? Okay, go ahead, Lawrence.
All right, so every club has their own bylaws, and for a club, and usually it comes with the school's policy when it comes to being an officer. So when it comes to being a club officer, I do believe you have to be enrolled for the entire academic year for almost 99% of cases, I'm pretty sure. But when it comes to running for the district level, I do know of cases where I just explained one before where someone runs for like a district board position who was graduating that semester, and they enroll into community college or transfer to another school to be eligible to serve the rest of that term, David. And there's also a situation like myself too, where in the international policy code, I use the clause where if you're graduating in the academic term, and serving 2/3 of the board term two-thirds of your board term, you're enrolled and you graduate. So there's a graduation clause. You have to prove this with your district administrator. Then you're allowed to spend that spring/winter time not in school and serve the rest of your position. That answers your question.
Thank you, Lawrence. Another question from Abby Luck is that can you run for a board position for your home club if you're planning to transfer? Who wants to answer this? Lawrence? I think you have a better idea on this.
Okay. Well, if it comes to I believe every club has their elections in the March-February time. March being the latest, but if it's like a situation where someone from I'll just put Folsom Lake College who's transferring out of that school that spring and wants to go to say Davis that fall and wants to be on club board, then they cannot be on club board because they kind of have to be a student at the time to be eligible to sign the student agreement waivers and stuff like that. But if they were if the position becomes open, like say if it was unfilled at the time of the elections in spring, that position can be open for you starting from the time you enroll in classes. So when you're officially registered, you can be a board officer after you transfer. But if you want to become like an LTG, if it's in the same division, then that's totally fine. You can run a decon. You can run for endorsement from your community college or club that you're transferring out of, and run for a position in the same division, like lieutenant governor or district governor, and be enrolls. If that answers your question. Thank you.
Thank you, Lawrence. Okay, thank you. Alex Kwong asks, when do elections for appointed board typically take place? It really depends on the club and when they want to appoint the board. It's not necessarily an election, but it's more of the VPA's or AVP's job to choose the appointed board members. It's either through an interview or... Oh. Yeah. Oh, okay. Sorry, Twee. Go ahead. You can answer.
Yeah, so it's like how David stated, it depends on the vice president of administration. But what it really is usually it's about the time around decon or before or after decon, depending on, usually it's after decon just because like decon really revs people up to be on board and everything. So it usually takes place around April. And just for clarification, it's not elections, but it's appointment. So you elect your executive board and you appoint your appointed board.
Thank you, Tweet. Okay, so next up is Calvin. A real question: what if your club doesn't endorse you for a district position? You can still run for a district position. A club endorsement is basically just an icing on the cake. It's basically you asking your club for support, but you don't necessarily need your club to endorse you to run for a district position at all. Yeah. And even if your club doesn't endorse you to run for like an LTG or a DGov, it does not make you any less qualified to be able to run for the position. And next up is Max's question. How do you combat vacancies on eBoard? Hi, so anyone want to answer that?
All right, I guess I'll do it. So, you really gotta pay attention to your club bylaws. Every club has their own set of bylaws. It's submitted to international, and pretty much if you need a copy, just ask your club, and I think your school has a record of everything too. So, you can, in a situation of a vacancy in, say, any of the non-president elected board positions, that position does have to be, you know, settled in officially through an election, through, it has to be an official quorum. There have been situations this year where a school had someone resign, so that resignation led to a different, led to a different, election that was during the summer, where they had a quorum and they had an election. But in case where there can't be an election, I've seen situations where members come in and fill in the duties roles, but they cannot assume the official title without having an official election because we run through Robert's Rules of Order. And in a situation where no one runs for president, technically the person next in line will have to be the one to take the duties because someone's got to do it, right? So, and then it takes, takes a process where someone will have to step up and take on the title because for in the situation of a president, that person can be elected through a what's the word, through a executive session with your elected board as long as they all agree to it. As like yeah, you're the president because I don't know why it's in most club bylaws, in the standard club bylaws, I believe that's the operation. But let's hope that doesn't happen. We'll cross that bridge when we get there, right?
Cool. Thank you, Lawrence, for answering those two questions. All right, last call for questions before we end this webinar. Okay. And you guys, I would like to take this time to really thank all of you for taking your time to donating your time to make the slides and present this webinar to the rest of this division. We hope that whatever we said here in this webinar has really helped you kind of understand the process or what you are going to be looking forward to when you run for any executive board or district board position. Yeah. So with that being said, here is our contact information. Go ahead, feel free to take a screenshot. These are all of our emails, and just know that we are always going to be here for you to reach out to us if you have any questions on how our position works. Okay, I'm always on call. Just go ahead and Facebook message me, and I will respond within 3 to 5 business days. That's my typical rule. But yeah, yeah, that's pretty much it. Do you guys any lasting comments before we end this webinar?
Anyone that hasn't watched Atlanta FX that's made and written produced by Childish Gambino, hit me up. I got you for links.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Really run for a board. You know, if you enjoyed your term, or if you enjoyed your year as a general member at Circle K, you're gonna really love. You're gonna see Circle K in a different light, like when you become a board member and see the work that you've done like affect others, you know, whether it's new members or other returning members in your club. It is a really rewarding experience, and although yeah, some of us may make it look a bit scary during our term with our tiredness and complaints and stuff, like we definitely have no regrets. I had no regrets being LTG this year, you know, and I'm pretty sure the others will say the same as well. Cool. So, and with that being said, it's 11 p.m. and that's the end of our webinar. Thank you guys so much for showing up. Thank you all of our executive board members, and have a great night.